Hello, everyone. I'm Harvey Brownstone, and today's guest is one of Hollywood's most well-known and respected professionals. He started out performing in many Broadway musicals and in films and on TV. And then about 25 years ago, he made a major career shift. He developed his own revolutionary acting and success methodologies and has become the world's preeminent acting coach. He's trained some of the top TV and film actors, and his expertise is regularly in demand by the most successful actors, producers, and directors in the entertainment industry. He coaches on movie sets and gives sold-out master classes, seminars, and workshops all over the world. His unique techniques have been endorsed and supported by industry giants like Al Pacino, Peter Farrelly, Bruce Dern, Samuel L. Jackson, Leonardo DiCaprio, Deepak Chopra, Jeremy Irons, and Bryan Cranston, to name just a few. And many of them have spoken at his master classes. He's also been a jury member at international film festivals and is an accomplished screenwriter and producer. He frequently works with CEOs from some of the world's top corporations, sharing his dynamic public speaking techniques to help them become transformational communicators. In 2013, he wrote his first book entitled Stop Acting, Start Living, which gave us an introduction to the mindset and techniques that have been successfully transforming the lives and careers of his students. And now he's released his brand new book entitled The Revolutionary Guide to Acting, a transformational journey to achieving success in show business and life. The book provides motivational insights that teach us to eliminate fear, self-doubt, and negativity so we can open our hearts and be fully available, confident, spontaneous, powerful, and emotionally alive. The book is not just for actors, but for everyone, because it's ultimately about self-honesty, authenticity, and overcoming internalized obstacles, especially doubt and fear, so we can achieve our dreams, aspirations, and goals. I'm delighted to welcome Bernard Hiller to our show. Bernie, thank you so much for joining us.
My God, thank you for what an introduction. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's very nice of you.
Bernie, many people believe that the greatest indicators of career success are intelligence, skill, and a strong work ethic. But you wrote that the most important thing we have to learn is to really connect with our own authenticity, talent, and instincts. You call this the journey toward yourself.
Right.
Why is finding your true self so difficult for most people?
Well, we have to start from the beginning. First, I want to welcome all of your listeners. Let's take it back to the childhood, because everything begins in the childhood. When we were kids, we were connected. We played, we felt emotions, we were happy, we cried. We really were in touch with our hearts and our bodies. And as we grew up, most people are taught to really think, to be in their minds, and they disconnect from their body. And when you disconnect from your heart and your body, you get lost along the way. And you start doing work and jobs that kill your soul. And so the most important thing we have to do as actors, and I'm saying that everyone listening to me is playing a part. You're playing a part as well. So acting, we couldn't live a minute without acting, because you're acting as the interviewer, and then you ask as a friend or a husband or a boss. Those are all parts. We're all playing parts. And what it is that we have to learn how to reconnect to ourselves, to come back to our heart and our instincts. Because when we follow what we were born to do, you're going to have a happy life. And as Plato said, all roads lead to happy. Nobody just wants a job. You want a job that makes you happy. You want a relationship that makes you happy. You want a meal that makes you happy. It's all about happy, and no matter what it is. And I believe that's what we're about. And I think that it takes courage to go back. To move forward, you have to go back and see, where did you lose your spontaneity? And I always tell my students and people I work with and major clients, don't grow up. It's a trap, because the future belongs to the young. It doesn't belong to the old. And your grandmother is not going to discover something new, because it's about doubt and fear, and don't go across the street. But we have to remain young. The future is for the young.
You wrote that having a crisis in your life can actually be a very good thing. Why?
Yes. Well, I've noticed when people have crisis, the word crisis has two words. It's called crisis and an opportunity. There are people who have divorces, and when they divorce, all of a sudden they start exercising, they start going, they start to opening themselves up. A crisis can be very good for you. I mean, I always think the crisis sometimes is sent to you from above or someone, because that's when you realize something's not working and change has to happen. I always think that blocks and fears are great for you, because once you overcome your blocks and fears, that's when you discover your confidence.
I guess because a crisis gets you out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
You look at how many successful actors and business people had very traumatic childhoods.
Yes. Well, no, you know what it is? Of course, a lot of them had traumatic childhood. It's not about what had happened to you. It's how you deal with it. There are some people with traumatic childhoods and it kills them forever. And there's some who've had very traumatic childhood and they move on. It's all how we react. And what I try to do in this book is teach you how to overcome anything that stopped you in a sort of a new way that you probably haven't looked at it a certain way. It's a different way of looking at your life, looking at pain, looking at negativity, a different way of looking at it. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. And so I think they are good. And I think sometimes I always say, things are not happening to you. They're actually happening for you. What's the lesson of that crisis? And believe me, I've had a lot of crises in my life too, but there's lessons that come. There's a reason that it's there, and it's to shake you up and help you to grow and expand.
You said that in order to achieve great success, you must become what you call a professional human being. What is that?
Well, the amateur doesn't get paid. The professional gets paid. The more professional they are, the more they get paid, correct? I believe that until we are professional human beings, we're not going to get paid for whatever we want, because art and money actually go together, but you have to give me something worth paying for. And I start with not the craft of acting or performing or anything else. I first start with the fact of who you are. I would like you to treat yourself as though you're a professional human being. And professional human beings react to things differently. Let's say you have a crisis right now in your life. An amateur person, most people, let's say you broke up with somebody, you take that with you wherever you go. You know what I'm saying? You go here, you go to lunch, you say, oh, I broke up with my girlfriend, you take it everywhere. A professional also broke up with his girlfriend. But unlike a professional, which is what you were as a judge, you had crisis, but all of a sudden, this case is in front of you. All of a sudden, the doctor's in front of you. When you can't go to the baker and say, I'm here for my birthday cake. And he says, well, you know, last night I broke up with my girlfriend. I didn't make your birthday cake. You're not taking it. I think that we need to become professional human beings, reacting in a professional way. Because when you're a professional human being, you'll understand whatever thing you pursue, whatever goal or dream you pursue, you have to pursue it in a professional manner.
You draw a very important distinction between being an actor and being an artist. An actor plays a scene exactly as written, whereas an artist injects originality, creativity, and surprising choices to make the performance unique and memorable and give it a wow factor. It strikes me that to achieve success, you have to be a risk taker. Do you agree?
Well, the more risk you take, the luckier you become. Of course, you have to be a risk taker. Everything is based on risk. Think of anyone that's ever been successful. It's all based on risk. You have to take a risk on yourself, a risk on your dream, a risk on what you want, a risk on your goal. You can't, it's like, you know what? You cannot play. Here's what I can tell you. Successful people it's like a game. They're always ready to lose. Successful people are ready to lose. Unsuccessful people never want to lose, which is why they always lose. Because life is a game. Life is a game. And can you not lose? Is there a game in the world that you cannot lose? That's part of the game. Part of the game, the who wins and somebody loses. And I'm saying that you need to be ready to take risks. And if you have a mentor, which I consider to be the most important thing, because a mentor can take you to a place within yourself that you could never go by yourself. So I feel that taking risks is the most important thing. And that's what we always did as a child. We took risk. The kid goes on a swing that doesn't go like, oh my God, what could happen? You have to take risks in life. And I always think that if you listen to your body and your instincts, you'll take the risks that are necessary. Because if you didn't take any risk on something, you would never be where you are today. It's all based on risks.
Well, Bernie, virtually every celebrity I've had on the show has told me that they believe that luck had as much to do with their success as talent. Do you believe that destiny and fate have a role to play in success?
Well, if you're just going to wait to be lucky, I don't think anybody was lucky. I mean, I can't tell. I'm sure that every artist you've had on your show here, of course, we had the luck of the opportunity, but they were able to do something with it. Being lucky is not enough. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to put you in front of Steven Spielberg. So that's your moment. But can you deliver? And I have to tell you, a lot of times I had opportunities when I was younger, but I wasn't able to deliver. I wasn't able to make the goods. So what they said, I was lucky. Yes, but you also had the skills and the wares to make a connection. That's really what they call about luck, is when opportunity meets talent. But meets talent. Now, there's a lot of people who are listening to you who know moments when they had, I had a really opportunity, but I wasn't ready. I didn't have the right paper. I didn't have the right training. And I did that for myself. I had opportunities, but you know what? I wasn't ready.
Well, another thing every successful person I know seems to have is what we call the imposter syndrome. They don't really believe they're worthy of their success, and they worry that one day they're going to be discovered for being a fraud. How does one overcome that?
Well, I think it's almost like the idea that they have the imposter syndrome. They haven't done enough to prove to themselves that they're talented. I always say, let's say you wanted to be a great actor. This is jumping a little bit, but think of this question. What would I have to do to prove to myself that I'm a great actor? What would I have to do? What part would I have to play? What role would I have to play? I'm a very confident person. Then I would want you to think, what could I do to prove to myself that I'm confident? I always tell my students, talk to 3 different people you don't know, call 3 people, email 3 people. You have to realize that the most important relationship is between you and you. And the reason people feel imposters or under the bad feelings is because they're determined by other people, outside sources. You need to have an inside talk to yourself. Whatever you want in life, if you want to be confident or funny or sexy, you have to ask this question, what would I need to do to prove to myself that I can do that? And you have to be continuously do it. It's never ending. Let's say you feel like I feel like a good body. Okay, because I work out. Well, let's not work out for a year or 2. Then you lose it. The constant relationship with yourself is you have to challenge yourself. If you feel like an imposter, well, that's not good. Because the actors that I know are constantly working. Let me give the ultimate actor, Al Pacino, who's seen an acting coach once a week, every week for 35 years. Because it's never ending. Here's the thing, the great artists or great business people, successful people always ask for help and constantly are training. But average people don't. And so they have issues which are going to stop them. But there is a way to overcome that, overcome anything. If you wanted to be a great father, think, what would I need to do to prove to myself I'm a great father? Not what other people say, but what would you need to say? And that's what you need to do.
That's excellent advice. As you well know, Bernie, so many immensely gifted and hugely successful stars over the years simply could not handle the fame and the celebrity. They lacked emotional intelligence and maturity. They made choices in their personal lives, especially their choice of friends and associates and getting into substance abuse, that ended up destroying them. How do you help your students prevent that situation?
Well, that's a big, long question. That was a good question you have. Well, the idea is that what I do with my people that I work with is I teach them to find happiness and joy, because that's the way. Happiness and joy is not the result of a goal or a dream. It's the journey. The journey is the most important thing of talking to them, that being happy, having wonderful friends, having a great life, and then pursuing your goal and dream is nice, but that shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be for you to have a great life. And when I meet people, I help them overcome their blocks and fears and free them from anything that's holding them back. And realize that in life, you don't meet who you want to meet, you meet who you are. And if you have a positive energy about you, you're going to meet positive people. And of course, like anything, people drop and go the wrong direction, and people always have that. But I have to say that the people that I meet are people who want to be on the way up. I don't really meet them, and because there's a way, everything can happen. If you really want to, nothing stops you. Let me give you an example. Yesterday, I was with Carey Mulligan. She's been nominated for 2 Academy Awards. She told me a story that I like to tell all the time. She's a wonderful actress, and she tried to get into they have a lot of great acting schools in London, some of the best. She auditioned for the first acting school in London. She did the monologue, she did scenes, and they said, you know what? We don't think you have what it takes, so we won't take you to the school. That was school number 1. So she went to school number 2, her second choice, and she also auditioned and did everything. And they said, you know what? We don't think you have what it takes. Then she went to school number 3. She put all her energy in, and she auditioned. She wanted to get in that school. You know what they said? No, thank you. So she had 3 acting schools who told her, thank you very much. And what did she do? Decide to become a star, because real people are unstoppable. It's a certain kind of mentality that people have that are unstoppable. I had a lot of things stop me as well. It's not like everything was going really well. People would, I don't believe in this and all that. And I realized that it's that success leaves clues. Success is not an accident. Apple computer is not like, I don't know, we just throw in some computers and no, look at the store, how it's built and how it's put together. So I always like to say that if you have this unstoppable quality because you're a professional human being and you have a dream that comes from your heart and makes you emotional, not something you logically think, you will pursue it if you get help. Successful people get help, get a mentor, surround yourself with people going the same direction, and you'll go there.
Given the immense amount of rejection that actors face, I'm talking about going to hundreds of auditions for parts that they don't get. What's the key to staying emotionally healthy and balanced and optimistic and still believing in yourself? Well, that's a professional quality, right? Professional people would remain. First of all, when they're rejecting, they're not rejecting you. I noticed that, see, look, I want to give you this phone. This is the phone I want to give you, Harvey. And I noticed that you don't want it. Did you notice this phone is not crying or upset? It's just going, okay, maybe we'll get the next person that wants to buy it. If we're going to a store and go, I don't want that pair of shoes. You see the shoe like crying and weeping or something? No, the shoe goes, okay, somebody will want to take me. So what I teach my artists is teach them that they're not really rejecting you. They just are not interested in buying your cucumbers. They're not interested in buying your tomatoes. They're not interested in what you're doing. It's not about that. And sometimes it's difficult to disconnect that, because in show business or any business, you have to fall in love with the product, right? Whatever you're selling is your product. In show and acting, we are the product. So sometimes we get confused between me and what I'm selling. And so I come in and I give a certain quality and they go, no, thank you. But okay, it doesn't mean your quality is bad. Ever look at the fruit markets and see the tomatoes and you didn't eat them or didn't buy them? They don't seem to be panicking. We have to sort of become that way where it's like, okay. But I believe that artists can become successful because they have to create their own opportunities. I'm not sitting around waiting for people. I don't want people to go to hundreds. I like to create an opportunity. I like to create projects for people. And right now, it's the greatest time to be an actor, the greatest time with all the platforms and streaming services. My God, it's never been better in the history of the world. So don't tell me your sad story, because you can succeed with help, with the right thinking, because success is not an accident. You don't need to sit home and pray. You need to make action. That's why we yell, add
action. We don't yell and talk, because action is what separates people. Not listening, not wondering, not wishing, action.
You wrote something in the book that goes against the grain of everything I've ever been told about planning for success. You said, don't ever have a plan B, just have a plan A, because then you have to succeed because you have no other option.
Right.
Is that realistic in show business where so few people ever manage to make a living at it?
Well, realistic is a word that always means negative. When someone says, is this realistic? You're looking at it from a negative point of view.
Well, what about the word practical? Is it practical?
No, it's not practical. But the idea is that is it practical to make computers like Steve Jobs and everybody turned them down? I would say that it always seems, let me go through 3 steps of a dream. First, it's impossible. Whenever you start something, first seems impossible, then improbable, and then inevitable. So I live in a world that's a little different than you, which is if you only have plan A, well, then there's no plan B. If I take you to, are you good at climbing trees and getting coconuts from the top of the trees? Maybe you're not much of a climber, but when there is no choice, you'll learn to climb. And that's the difference. The idea is that when you have plan B, people always go back. If I have from 100%, I have 10% students, maybe 15% out of the 100 that have no plan B. But if you have a plan B, you'll always go back when it's tough. But when there's plan A, you'll just have to make it work. You'll make it work. I didn't really have a plan B. And so I became an actor, performer. I knew this is all I wanted to do. And so I had to make it work. I came to the United States. I didn't speak English. I didn't know anyone. I had no money. I just wanted to do it.
Well, then let me ask you this. If someone has done everything they can to achieve success in a particular field, let's say acting, and it's just not happening, they're now 45 years old, it ain't happening. Is there ever a point where you would say to them, look, maybe you need to redefine your goals and try something else?
If something's not happening, I can clearly say you're doing something wrong. Maybe you're trying to go east, but you're heading west. And remember, Einstein said, the person that creates the problem can never find the problem. You need to go to somebody and say, hey, I've done everything else. It's not working. I have met so many wonderful actors, some successful, some just starting, and say, I've done everything. What can I do? And I go, you know what? You're missing something because I can see something in you that you cannot see yourself. And I will say, an expert, an expert in this field of how to succeed. You need to get someone who's been to the mountaintop. But I can tell you, if you feel you've done everything and it's not worked, you better get some help because you're going the wrong direction. You're coming at it the wrong way. There is a way to succeed. And succeed means what to me? Being a happy human being and creating your own opportunities. Like all of a sudden, no one's hiring. I remember Bryan Cranston came to our class before he did Breaking Bad. Nobody hired him. He made his own movie. What are you talking about? Remember, successful people will always figure out a way to make their own success. You have to make your own up because opportunities are knocking. If they don't knock, then build your own door and start knocking.
Well, Bernie, as you know, I'm not an actor. And before hosting this interview program, I was a criminal and family court judge for 26 years. I want to tell you that you said something very important in your book that really resonated with me. You said that in order to achieve real success, you have to figure out and develop what it is about you that's truly special and unique, that sets you apart from everyone else in your field and makes you marketable and in demand. I did that as a trial lawyer. I know that's how I got myself appointed to the judiciary, and it's definitely what I'm doing as an interviewer. That is such great advice, Bernie, and I can tell you it totally works.
Well, of course, the idea is that we're selling something. Everybody's selling something. You have to figure out what is special about me. What do I bring to this industry that we don't have? What is unique and special? And what we don't have is you. But not the you are now, an open, happy, powerful you, because that's the way it makes you authentic. Do you have the courage to be authentic? And remember, as we're going back to the childhood, when you're a kid and you're really authentic, you stick out. That's when you were bullied. When people go like, who do you think you are? Because we live in a world where everybody's supposed to be the same thing, and you were willing to be different. And when you're different, you're going to be, made fun of, beaten, this, that. You sort of have to go through school. And very few people have the courage to do that. And I consider that to be the secret, is that, and you'll know when you're authentic, when you're happy, powerful, and you let your soul, and you make your soul visible to the world. So don't think like, this is me. No, you're not me if you're not powerful, happy, and you're showing your soul to the world.
Oh my God, you're such a shot in the arm. One of our basic human needs is the desire to be liked, to be accepted, to be popular. But you wrote that if we allow that need to consume or obsess us, we'll be too afraid to let our own individuality emerge, and we'll never utilize what's really special about ourselves. Right. So Bernie, how does one balance the natural desire to be liked and to fit in with the importance of truly being our authentic selves?
Well, I go into it in depth in the book, so it's hard to give you like one sentence, but one of the things you have to do is you have to have a strong relationship with yourself. Let's not talk about, the idea is that when you're what we call people pleaser, you're more concerned what other people think of you. And when you care more what other people think of you, is because you don't know what you think of you. You haven't done the real work within yourself. You have to, who are you? What do you think? Do you think you're a good person? Who do you think you are? You need to be able to enjoy the company of yourself, because you are going to spend more time with you than anyone in the world. When we hang up right now, you're going to be with you in the elevator, in here, in the, and you could have 10 children. You'll still spend more time with you over a lifetime. And I think that people are not having a strong relationship with themselves, and think, are you a good person? What would you need to do? What do you have to give? And I always talk about the fact that the more you give, the more you get. That's one of the rules of Hollywood. The more you give, the more you get. See, when I reach out and I give you a present, my hand is ready to receive. If I give you nothing, I get nothing back. So it's about, of course, life is about a balance. And the thing that's based on everything, even food, everything is about a balance. And we need to balance ourselves. But I think I go in more into depth exactly what you need to do. And here's the line that everybody needs to listen to. If you want to achieve what you have never achieved, you have to become the person you have never been. And that is the opposite of you. Not more open, not more happy, but something totally a flip. And that's one of the difficulties for people. People are afraid of changing, because learning is an act of love. And if you don't love yourself, you're not actually interested in learning. So I teach you to have courage to love yourself, love your issues, love your problem. Let's work on it. Nothing is workable. I mean, everything can be fixed. You can't fix it.
Well, you skimmed over something that's extremely important. You described the difference between being a people pleaser, which is
Right.
someone who does things they really don't want to do,
Right.
and a person who just likes to make other people happy.
Yes.
And that's a very different thing. We should not be putting other people's needs ahead of our own in order to be loved. And I just want to stress that was such an important point in your book that really, really resonated with me as well.
Right. Well, that's because, if you don't have love for yourself, you're always looking for other people to love you. And so that's a problem. If you have no love, you're like saying, please, would you love me? Would you love me? Oh, you want me to act like that? Then I'll just do that and I'll become that. And I'm saying, I want you to actually have a great, passionate love affair with you, so that you're in love with yourself in a very positive, healthy way. And you have other people loving you too, but you have something on your own. Most people they're told they're not good enough and they're not special enough. And I want you to realize that that's all bullshit. Because if you're listening to me, there's something special about you. You're just you're not thinking correctly. Because when you love yourself, you love the power that created you. If you believe in God or spirit or whatever, something created you. And you came from love, you are love, and you have to work yourself in a loving way. And no one should take away. If you ask your children if they love themselves, they always say yes. until they're taken away, like they're not good at school or not good at that, or they're not pretty enough. And I think that that's all we're looking for. The bottom line with everyone's problem is love. If you loved yourself, you go after your dream. If you loved yourself, there's a line which is, if you love myself, I think it's from the Bible, it says, love yourself like your neighbor. You heard about that. So can you love your neighbor if you don't love yourself? Well, according to that line, no. Love your neighbor like yourself. That's the line. Love your neighbor like yourself. But I think people are not in love with themselves. And there's so much anger and hostility out in this world right now because they're so angry with themselves.
You made another really important point that I don't think can be emphasized enough, and it's this. If you want to be successful in any field, be easy to work with. No matter how brilliant or talented or gifted you are, nobody wants to work with a jerk or a diva, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I work a lot, as a producer. And I have to tell you that when I'm in a meeting, all of a sudden they'll mention a very famous actor and they go like, oh, that person's trouble. And so they don't work because you know what? In Hollywood, we can have everything we want. It's a smorgasbord. I want somebody really talented and somebody really nice. We get that. It's not like, oh, we got to work this. It's not like one restaurant. It's not like, it's like Rome, which is I've gone to many, many times. And if you don't like that one Italian restaurant, they got 700 more. It's not like, well, this is the only restaurant in town. So of course you have to be nice and pleasant. But I think that's a lifestyle to be able to be workable. That means that you have to understand humans. And I think that goes to any profession because you're different and that person's different. You need to know how to work with people, not against people.
Which means you have to manage your ego. You can't buy all the press that you get.
Well, no, but I think that's not, I have to say that the top actors that I know, from DiCaprio to Samuel Jackson to like really Brad Pitt, they're really nice. They're very kind.
And humble.
Yeah, but that's who they are. Because they're on the top, they're really nice. The people I find who are not nice are people who would like to become stars, but really are not because they feel insecurity. And I would say that even if I met some top people, super famous people or very rich people, they're nice because that's who they are. And I think that's what we need to do. We have to bring more kindness to ourselves because you cannot give me what you do not have. If you're not a kind person, you can't be kind. If you're not easy with yourself, you're not going to be easy with others. So you're not going to work very often. So talent is not the most important thing. It's who you are as a human being is the most important thing.
Amen to that. You wrote a lot about following your instincts and your intuition. What do you say to people, Bernie, who can't seem to block out all the noise and peel away all the layers of everybody else's expectations so that they can tap into their intuition?
I would say come to my masterclass in December. I think it's 12 to 17. Yes, it's a training. Of course, you have to be able to block out. You have to get out of your head. There's a whole course where I talk about how to get out of your head and into your heart. Because when you get into your heart and into your body, your life and your career will take off. Nothing will happen while you're in your head because the head is about lack, about fear. If you're in your mind, if you made a choice based, as a judge, that if you made the wrong decision, they would kill you. Maybe you'd be thinking about, you're not really thinking like, okay, this is what it should be. And so that's what has to be. Being in your head is coming from poverty. It's not coming from strength. And you need to ask yourself two questions. How do I get back into my heart? But that's a lifestyle. And a book that I do recommend is called Homecoming by John Bradshaw, which talks about why we get into our heads. And I'm saying to be successful, it's when people listen to their heart and their instinct. And in my classes and my master classes, that's what I focus on. Because all the answers, you're smarter than you're acting. You know what you do. You know what to do,
You've mentioned this already about mentorship, the importance of finding people that educate, inspire, and guide you. What's the best way to find a mentor?
Well, that's a good question. I think the best way is to see, well, let's say you wanted a mentor in acting. Well, look for acting teachers in Los Angeles. Things will come up. Then you go look at this website. Then you look at this video and you get a feel for someone, or you're interested and you get my book or you get somebody else's book. and just try to go with your instincts. And then you take a session with them, do a private Zoom session, do a private session, just take one session. For somebody to work with me, I always work with them one time just to see if I can help them, if I can do something different. Because I'm always thinking that I like to work with people, but only if I can make a difference. I'm not really looking for a student. I'm looking for someone I can take to the next level. So we see how that fits. It's like a date. How do you know if that girl is the right one to marry? I don't know. Ask her on the first date. You can't live in the future. You do have to live in the present. You have to live the life.
In our remaining few minutes, I want to ask you a few questions about acting. The renowned acting coach, Uta Hagen, said that acting is the worst taught subject on the planet. Do you agree?
Well, I kind of agree with her, because the thing about acting teachers is that we're all teaching something totally different. No one's teaching the same thing. Like if you went to Uruguay or Zimbabwe or any country in the world, and they taught you math, 2 and 2 is
4.
That's it. Everywhere is teaching you. You can go to Argentina, you can go to Uganda, 2 and 2 is 4. Acting, everybody's got a different way, a different technique, some which I think are not producing the success that I think should be. Because there are millions of people studying and very few of them succeed. And that's because, for me, this is just my personal thing. I like anyone that's teaching, but are you teaching people how to become actors of the future? Are you teaching acting of, there's a lot of things as I go around the world, and they're teaching old-fashioned style of acting. And I'm telling you that acting keeps changing, and you need to be updated, and you need to be with someone who's teaching you how to become the actor of tomorrow. And so, yeah, so that I would say that's the answer to the question.
Well, it must be so frustrating for professional actors to see that so much of television today is made up of reality shows featuring non-actors, amateurs. Right. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that's a direct result of poor acting. People are so desperate to see the truth. They'd rather watch 6 people in a house. You know what? They're interesting. You know why? They're real. This woman is up. This woman is down. This one is like crazy. This one is bitchy. You know what? They are that way. That's how they cast them. Reality television is an audience crying out for more truth. And when you watch either De Niro, or you're watching Al Pacino, or you're watching Meryl Streep, you find the truth. The people want the truth. And I think that it's a direct result that the acting in the world is not good, that they rather watch that. I think it's a result of something, because there's millions of people watching it. And we have to be so truthful, so connected, because there's no more acting. Acting has been canceled. Acting is playing not somebody else. Acting is playing different parts of yourself. You have to play the part and disappear, that we only see that and we go like, this is true. And when you see a great film like A Schindler's List, does anybody think that that's not, it is a movie, isn't it? I mean, there are actors, but it's done so well. You're in it. You're in it. It's that kind of acting that I like. I think that great acting is doing, making unforgettable choices, but becoming so truthful that people go like, I don't know. I've seen actors, they could read the phone book. I'd want to watch them. But I think that reality TV is something. And sometimes, you know what? It's very emotional, because they really are just talking about their life. People love to know about other people, but they want to know it in a truthful way. People are dying to see the truth. Have something truthful, and people can't look away, because truth is something we don't get. We don't get it anywhere.
Well, Bernie, I have only one question left for you. In your book, you wrote about the importance of having sincerity, compassion, humility, empathy, courage, but there's one personality characteristic that you emphasize the most: gratitude. Tell us why gratitude is so important in life.
Well, until you love the life you have, you cannot have the life you want. If you can't, I mean, the idea is that gratitude is thanking what you have, that you are breathing, that you're alive. And the more gratitude, then you're sending out a certain energy and more great things come to you. Gratefulness is, I think, is a very important thing. And it's also very important in Hollywood. If you're grateful for people for helping you, I think gratitude is a beautiful quality to have. Yeah, I really think that you need to be grateful for what you have and not thinking, oh, I hate this, but I want that. But it's not, because I know that'll never work. And when I became more grateful for what I had and the gifts that I had, that everything started to expand, because I live in the sort of, I'm in the miracle business. That's what I call myself. I'm in the miracle business. And I have to say that I believe in miracles, and I'm actually expecting a miracle today. So if I'm expecting a miracle today, then miracles will come, because if you don't expect it, they're not coming. And also you got to be looking for it. Now I want you to imagine that I put a diamond underneath your chair. Harvey, did you find a diamond today? No, because you weren't looking for one. I actually put it there. So I teach my people, I want you to look for the diamonds. I want you to look for the miracles and expect it and live in a miracle state, because you just have to know what you want, but not how exactly it's going to happen, because it's never going to happen the way you think it's going to happen. You have to be willing to live in a mystery. Life, where were we before we were born? That's like a mystery, right? Nobody knows. Where do you go after you die? That's a mystery. And between birth and death, that's also a mystery. But if you slow that word really down, my mystery is called my story, because life is a mystery and you need to live the mystery.
I hope everybody's listening and paying attention and taking notes. I want to tell our viewers that you can learn more about Bernard Hiller and find out about his acting classes, master classes, and workshops, business training, and life coaching by going to his official website, bernard.hiller.com. And his book, The Revolutionary Guide to Acting, is available wherever books are sold. Well, Bernie, I've learned so much from your book and from our conversation. You've been a real shot in the arm. I'm feeling so energized by all the life lessons that you've conveyed today. I think you were my miracle today. Thank you so much.
No, but I think that every moment is a miracle if you look for it. I appreciate being here. I appreciate sharing my information. And I give it to you all with love. And work on yourself with love, and things will change.
Thank you so much for taking the time to appear on our show. I greatly appreciate it. Our guest has been the incredibly inspirational acting coach, business trainer, life coach, and author, Bernard Hiller. My name is Harvey Brownstone. Thank you to our producer, Steve Silver. Thank you to my wonderful management team, Rick and Robin at the Marcelli Company. Thank you all for joining us. See you next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out all the great interviews on the Harvey Brownstone Interviews YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when new videos are posted.